Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Influential Coach. And my name is Rita Gidio. And today is a very funny thing because the beautiful soul that I'm bringing in, it's a pro in podcasts. So I feel that I'm like really in a different place today. My dear, do you want to present yourself and tell a little bit about what you do and what you
Sure.
teach and what you coach? And we go from there.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so Sinéad here. I'm originally from South Africa, but I'm residing in the US now with my husband and my daughter. And I started my online journey into the podcast industry, and I was just doing podcast production. And I started to realize a lot of podcasters aren't using it as a marketing tool. So this is now what I expertise in. I coach podcasters how they can utilize their podcast to make the most of it. So that's a brief background.
I'm impressed. You say you were born in South Africa?
Yes, born and raised. My parents still reside in South Africa.
Okay, so I would grow up in Africa as well, not in South Africa.
Yeah.
My dad was born in Mozambique.
That's pretty close.
Yes. And I grew up in a little tiny island on the middle of the equator, ex-colony from Portugal. Name is São Tomé e Príncipe. Then, guys, please Google it because in many maps, many maps you can even don't see it. It's on top of, so you have Africa, right? And you have a country named Gabon. Then you have the equator. So it's in front of Gabon, but two little tiny coconut islands.
Oh my goodness.
I grew up there. So
that's
that
awesome.
Being said, we have that in common. And why I want to bring that up is because growing up in Africa, I know you must have had a very different experience for many reasons, different than mine, but there's a certain energy, freedom, passion. Then I constantly seeing people were allowed to grow up in Africa. I know I am what I am because of growing up in Ireland. We had nothing, where money was not important because money did not mean anything. People did want to exchange soap for rice. And like I'm 41, so I guess it was not so long ago that my mom went with me to the market and she had these blue bars of soap to wash the clothes. Wow. Yeah. And she was going there trading for eggs or anything. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a funny way. Did you enjoy growing up there?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I grew up in a tiny little town. So I was barefoot 24/7. My dad climbing trees. My dad still walks around barefoot, but like you said, it was pretty much a trade. Like you would see chickens at home and be like, where are these chickens from? And then it's like, oh no, I did a job and the guy brought some chickens. So yeah, I can definitely relate with that. I would say the first time I actually got like a reality shock was when I went to study and I went to Cape Town. So that's like a city close by.
I know, but it's good to explain to other people what it is.
Yeah. And I would still walk around barefoot. And one day after coming back from university, there was this homeless man and he actually offered me shoes because he thought that I needed them because I was this young girl walking around without shoes. And then I was like, oh wow, that's a reality shock because in a city you should probably be wearing shoes, but I was just so used to this natural way of living, of barefoot, enjoying life.
Yeah, I understand you. I have so many questions. I want to talk about your coaching, but now I want to ask you something you have nothing with your coaching.
Go for it.
Do you like Trevor Noah?
Yes, he has a good sense of humor.
I
really enjoy it because he really, how do you say, normalizes rationality. There's no black is better than white or brown is better than yellow. It's pretty much humorous, especially if you're from South Africa, because everyone can relate as a South African and not by the color of your skin. Yeah, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah, I think I'm a big fan. I think he has such an intelligent humor, and since he have a perspective of I cannot imagine him. Like, I don't know if you watch his stand-up shows then on Netflix,
Yeah.
but that scene where his friend, his American friend, said, "You never had tacos," and said, "No, I never had tacos." And then all the story comes from, "I don't have tacos. Nothing so American more than tacos." And like, it's such a funny perspective, and it's such a beautiful story. And I just did want to say that because I like humor, intelligent humor, where you make fun of things who are fun, but without putting down people, any kind of people, or let me turn off my Facebook.
Yeah, it's that equality that he brings out in a humorous way, which is quite pleasant to listen to.
Okay, let's talk about podcast. Why podcast? How did podcast appear in your life since you are in a podcast with me now?
I would say so I was actually a chef for 10 years. I was in the hospitality industry.
I used to have a podcast named The Influential Chef.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're a chef too? Or
no, I was working. So I am CEO of We Grow Influence, then his agency. And we had in a certain moment, I was living in France, and we had a core business related with Michelin star chefs. And cool. I felt then it was interesting to start doing a podcast, something that probably you teach yourself. So that is the story. But I love, so what kind of foods?
Well, I was mostly in a seafood restaurant. I love seafood. And yeah, that's actually where I met my husband, because he's a chef as well.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, we worked in a hotel together in Florida where they have about 7 different restaurants. So you're not just stuck to one restaurant. You can obviously pick and choose. But yeah, that's basically where I decided, because I was about 8.5 months pregnant. And in the culinary industry, you being a female is nothing different. If you're 8 months pregnant or 9 months, whatever, if you're due in a week, you should still be able to work as effectively.
And it's a very hardcore industry. I say it with a lot of respect, but it's tough. Yeah, it's very physical and emotional and stressful, tough.
Yes, definitely. You find yourself working 12 to 15 hours, and that's normal. You wake up, you go to work, you come back. That's your life as a chef. You get to play pretty things or whatever, but I felt, especially at that time, that this was coming towards a stop or a pause to my culinary journey, because I knew that I wanted to be the role model of my daughter. And to be that, I have to be present to be with my daughter. So I decided, okay, well, I'm going to take my skills that I've developed, whether that's leadership, managerial, organizational, and take it to the online world. So I started to transition into the online world, doing, general virtual assistant work. And I found that a lot of my clients had podcasts. And I really enjoyed the way that they were able to express themselves just so, flawlessly, and just have a great chat. But what I also noticed is how their podcast benefited them, their business. So it was like this explosion of personality.
You are unveiling my secret. You are.
No, but it's amazing to see. You don't just see a business grow, you see an entrepreneur blossom. And I was so inspired by this. And that's where I came up with my phrase of empowering females to embrace their authentic voice through podcasting, because that's something I believe as a female, especially, I can empower other females to just become themselves. Because coming from a male dominant industry where my voice was pretty much like silenced, and if you spoke, you're like, hey, why is she being a bit feminist or anything of that? Now I was able to help other females speak their thoughts and speak their mind. So that's how podcasting became my my world.
Oh my God. Okay. Imagine then. Okay. I can feel a vibration. I can feel the future. I promised myself yesterday. So I have this new program. Then I was looking for a name. I don't know if you saw it. Then I was looking for a name. I want to use the word Creatrix because I want to focus in women who are successful, who have a gift. And they want to go to the next level. And because of many factors, many of them, many times, is they are so spiritual, they are so into the good, then they feel in social media, they have wrong values, and they create attraction there. So my job is to make them having the power in their fingertips and just connect, not with millions, but connect with the people who need them. So I want to imagine then I have, so I'm going to change the Influential Coach podcast for the Influential Creatrix podcast. Give me, if I went to you, what framework do you offer? Or like, without giving us all, because as I want you to excite the mind of the people who don't have a podcast, or like me, who have a lot of potential to grow as a podcast. What is your framework?
Well, I really see a podcast like the core of your business. So if you, like you said, you have your business, but you want to align it, your podcast, with it. So that is pretty much the core of what you'd be working with. And then pretty much sending out that message through your content. So even if you repurpose it onto YouTube or to social media, you still have that same message and you're attracting the right audience. So with that framework of bringing alignment into your podcast and to your business, that way you are able to create the right audience.
Okay. No. No, it's just the internet is kind of bubbling, but okay. We can do this. Normally I was on my apartment, and now I'm in this co-working space then I have on my building. So
okay.
It's just, but this Sunday, it's Saturday morning, like 9 a.m. So at least we are alone. Okay.
No, so what I would say is I usually break that alignment down into 3 sections. So you've got your content, and you've got your commitment to your podcast, and then the community. So each of those 3 C's, you can say, they work fantastically if you master one. But once you bring them together, for instance, you can have the best content in the world and an awesome community, but if you're not committing to them, your podcast isn't going to grow as effectively as you would if you have all 3 of those together. So that's basically a basic framework that I work from. But then obviously you can go deeper into how to promote yourself, how to speak about your podcast without feeling like everyone on social media is going to judge you because this is like the 3rd time you spoke about your podcast this week. But honestly,
I have a rule. Let me tell you that I don't care. I don't, no, it's not, I don't care. I'm being not honest. I don't really allow then affects me when I did turn off everything. Okay, sorry. And then I don't allow then certain comments affect me. But if we always see, and now I'm going to give you another perspective in what you are saying, they feel that thing is, wow, here I go and I need to talk and people are going to be bored. Just think about the value of your podcast. Because the reason why I'm doing this podcast is obvious. Then I get some clients from here, and it's obvious. Then I meet amazing people, and it's obvious. Then grows my business and do these collaborations. We cross, people follow me with people follow you, and vice versa. But I have a deep intention to listen to you and know you better, because this for me, and normally I have coffee or water, I don't have now, it's a hangout. So next time then you or your people say, you don't have that issue, but someone say, oh, he or she, yeah, people will think that I'm going to talk again. Yes, because you are giving them the opportunity. If you think about your posts as giving and opportunities, and that is the reason I create a framework for posting, you don't feel that stress anymore. And if you are looking for that comments, they will appear. But if you are on a place, then you say, guys, I'm jumping in. I know you are fed up of me talking about my podcast, but the reason why I talk it is because it's really good. You don't believe it? Just go and watch. So you flip the screen and you like, I love my podcast. So if I'm in love for my podcast, if I don't feel
feel it.
guilty for my podcast, they will feel the magnetism, right?
Yes. It's definitely making that content that you know you're making a bigger impact with the content you're delivering. And that impact is where you bring in that love and you bring in that motivation, because when you have that correct alignment, you want to keep delivering that content. You want to keep connecting with people. And it's all about the emotion that you're creating throughout your podcast, because people are going to come to your podcast, they're seeking for a certain something. And when you start delivering that, adding some humor or adding however you your personality wise give, they know they're going to leave your podcast feeling that same emotion that they felt the previous time, that whether that's satisfaction or maybe they just needed a good laugh or a place to get some valuable content. That's what you know you're providing. So
yeah, you need to set intentions. Like each time I did not do this with you, but I knew what I feel. I promised to myself yesterday that I'm going to stopping hiding what is for me my reality. Like I feel certain information getting to me before time. So whatever you understand, if it's logical or not, I don't really know. But like I use internet, Wi-Fi, and electricity, and I have no idea how that works. So let's be on that point. I think then the fact then setting intentions for everything that you do, including your posts, including your podcast, including the action of inviting someone, it really setting that intentions. And I was talking with a party coach about he coach people who have anxiety about partying and want to reduce their drinking and the use of drugs. So party coach is from Passion Fighters as well. And we decide together then it was really important to set intentions. Okay, I'm going to drink tonight, but tomorrow I'm not going to be guilty with myself. So you write a letter for yourself on the future and you set an intention. When I jump on a podcast, my intention is to learn as much as possible what my guest experience have to share with me. And just that, and everything what's coming from, it's extra. So they should set intentions as well. No, what? I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say intentions and then as boundaries as well.
And boundaries, saying no.
Because you could have someone on your shows, for instance, you think this person's a great person, they have thousands and thousands of followers, but maybe they come on your show and they just give you like one word answers like, okay, yes,
and no. Oh my God.
And you're not really getting like that fire. What you really want is that person to provide value to your audience. Because if they're not delivering that, then you need to know, okay, they might have all these amazing followers, but I'm setting that boundary because I know they're not going to deliver. Or maybe you decide, I'm not going to post that episode because it didn't provide as much value as I hoped it would. So it's really that boundary of, would they be a good fit, or are they just going to be a normal conversation?
I love it. Okay, so what are the steps if someone, what are your offers now? What you have to offer to people if they are in a situation as me, who believe in podcasts and interviews for 300 different reasons are super positive. Another thing is many people have the idea of podcast just an audio thing. I like to make my podcast visual, and I think that is the way to go. But if you want to just listen to, you listen to. But tell me about your offers and what can you transform? So what is the transformation then you sell? Then you sell, then you offer. Sell is always a weird word. You offer.
So pretty much for those starting out, I have obviously the start. So teaching them how to start their podcast from the scratch, creating that idea around it. But my core offer that I'm offering right now is pretty much the growth aspect of how to promote yourself without feeling salesy, and then how to create a podcast funnel so that you are attracting your ideal clients to your products and services. So that whole transformation of becoming confident, feeling amazing, like you said, you feel you're not going to stop yourself from feeling any emotions in your podcast. You're just going to let go and be free of it. So that is pretty much my core offer, teaching podcasters how to make the most out of their podcast. And then obviously you can go further into speaking opportunities and how to get, for instance, those keynote opportunities. But pretty much, I think a lot of podcasters struggle with that marketing aspect and promoting themselves. You'd see them on Facebook say, can you like my podcast or leave a review? It's like they feel like they're needy. But really just to open up that, how do you say, abundance, that there is enough listeners for everyone out there. You must just learn how to speak up for yourself.
Okay, so I understand. Can I give, we will share this podcast. Can I give an idea to the people who feel like that? So instead of going, a call to action is fundamental in all posts. If you don't have a call to actions, if you don't ask them to follow you, to comment, to tag a friend, to share, to give their opinion, you will not get the same level of engagement. And this is people drop their photo and they expect, and ask a question, give a call to, give an order, say, do this.
Yeah.
Because they want to be lead. They are giving us the most expensive thing in the planet now, that is attention. Attention is the most valuable thing. So instead of saying, oh, can you please like my podcast? It sounds needy. You can do something like this. Hi guys, yesterday I was on a call with Kimi and she's a doctor, and we talk about the feeling of burning out comes from this COVID situation in 2 years. And we cried and we laughed, and I think we all should watch this. Please tag a friend who is burning out because of COVID. You give value. You give value up front. You tell. You need to. I always say that in social media communication, what I share. I don't say I teach, because I don't see myself as a teacher. I see myself as a person who beat with the head on the wall quite sometimes, and now have some strategies of work. So what you want to say is knowing your audience and offer them in a way they feel then you know them. Because if they feel then you know them, they will take the action.
Of course, definitely. And that's why with the promoting, I include social media, for instance, Instagram stories. So let me give you an example. You've got your podcast app, and how I always say it, like for one example, you could start your Instagram story by the pain point. What is your current problem? For instance, you want to gain exposure with your podcast, but you're not, or let's say, are you trying to sleep at night, but you're not finding the right sleeping pattern, for instance. It's about sleep. And sorry, I switched that one up.
No, it's okay. It's a beautiful.
Then the next slide would be, well, I had a recent conversation with XYZ, and we discovered these 5 parts of how to improve your sleeping pattern. Then the next slide would be, listen to the episode or tag a friend, like really be really clear on your call to action, but don't put 10 call to actions out there, like follow my YouTube, subscribe, leave a review. They're not going to react. You need to be very clear.
Why should they? That is the main,
It's like spam in their face. If you put so many call to actions out there, you need to have that one specific one that you can repeat like 3-5 times throughout the episode. But you have to be very clear. So when they leave, they know that is my next step. I'm going to leave a review, or I'm going to share it with a friend, or
one call to action, never more than that. And focus in growing one, like everyone say, oh, you need to be in all social medias. You need to be in all social medias when you have your shit right, when you know exactly what you are doing. If you look at me, I was initially coaching last year when I started on Passion. I was coaching everyone from artist to coach. What is interesting, but then I realized then with artists, I could not make them win money, and with coaches, I can. And I want to keep my people in retention, meaning I want my clients to sign up again for the programs with me. to keep working with me, to have coaching one-to-one with me. So that being said, like, it's really important. Then I start there, but now I'm much more further, and I know I just want to work with women who have a gift as you. Then it needs to amplify their message. That is my job. So if you are starting some business like this, and tell me what is your opinion, you should focus on bringing people for your podcast or bringing people for your free Facebook group or one place. And the others you keep posting. Don't care with how many people are watching, listened, because it's going to be on the internet. You need to start somewhere, and just being grateful. If you have 10 people watch your video, there's 10 people know at least more 10 people.
Yeah. Exactly. And you need to find a social platform that you feel right with. For instance, if Instagram is your go-to place, you feel more connected with Instagram, start there and connect with the right audience that's going to listen to your show or going to engage and build that community. Even if it's 300, 200 people, that's a lot of people. Imagine they're all sitting in your living room.
I always say that.
It's a big house.
I always say that. Like, I say two things about posts. Oh, I'm scared of posting. Okay, tell me what is the worst thing can happen. Tell me. Obviously, then if we are going to do a post about politics or vaccination, or that, you need to be ready. But when you are talking about what is the worst thing can happen, that is one. The second one is just picture, go and look to the people with the little hearts and whatever it is. Take a print screen and print and put on your wall and write me a text about who they are, where they lived, what they do, how many kids they have, if you know it. And again for the other one, and again for the other one, and again for the other one. Now let's go to more technical questions. I have a lot of questions, so now I'm going to bump questions. I want to do a podcast. How long should be my podcast?
Well, that pretty much depends on you. For instance, if you're doing a solo episode, that could range for anything from 5 to 25 minutes. If you're doing an interview, that could be 20 to 45 minutes. If you, for instance, have a co-host, so you and another person both interviewing me, that could be the same as an interview. And then you get other podcast styles, for instance, storytelling. For instance, you tell the most amazing stories about shipwrecks. That could last up to 2 hours long. But with all these numbers in mind, you have to keep your message in mind, because you can talk forever on, but if you only take 5 minutes to get to your message or to the value that you're providing, 5 minutes it is. And then I think the average amount of listeners now for 2022 is only about 35 minutes. So most listeners only go into about 35 minutes, and then they would either switch off or return at a later stage. So really think about the value you're providing, and that could keep that 35-minute in mind of when are you keeping them engaged, that they can stay longer than 35 minutes if your episode is an hour long, or maybe they only need to tune in for 5 minutes.
Sounds good. More things. What is really important to have on a podcast? Do we really need to have a fancy intro? Do we really need to have, like, what is for you as a coach of podcasting? Think then, like, give me some tips. How can I make my podcast better? What is fundamental, like, in your opinion, in your view?
Okay, so for my opinion, you get the intro, outro, you can have those things, but they're pretty much to prettify your podcast, and it's to make it a bit more like a radio show or production. So if you want to have that feel, then you can go for it. It's your show. You can do whatever you want. But
that is the coolest thing, right?
Yeah, it's you. You can have whoever you want on your show. You can speak about whatever you want. But I always keep it aligned with what your main goal is, whether that's a 6-month goal or a 6-year goal. So if you're really providing a certain type of value on your podcast, I always say start it off with a call to action. You don't need to go into a 5-minute introduction of who your guest is, because they're going to learn who your guest is on the show anyway. So you could rather start off about a pain point that the guest speaks about, like you would, for instance, on your Instagram stories, and then just lure them in. And that way you're creating that amazing flow throughout your podcast about different things you'll be speaking about. So there, the fundamentals, I would say, is prepare your guest before the time. I know that sounds weird, but make sure that their cell phone is turned off, that they're recording in a quiet place, and that they're willing to speak about your podcast afterwards.
Oh, that is an important thing.
I think it's their responsibility to promote your show as well. They don't have to give it to everyone, but at least they're making that effort of being involved even after the recording.
Okay, I 100% agree. So we can now let me, I start doing these podcasts because I was focusing on the coaching market and I did want to get data. That was my main goal. It was not even getting clients, was to have a nice conversation because I love that excites my brain, and was to getting data. And I did not really, or creating this in a way. I had music podcasts before because I used to work as a DJ. So now I want to ask you something. At this moment, I did not set up my podcast in any other way than just on YouTube, where I have 10 followers today. The reason why is I'm creating all this, but the video forms, should we do some teasers with the best parts and put on Facebook? Should we, but where should I be focused? Is it in the Apple podcast? Because the Apple podcast, tell me if I'm wrong, you need to pay for each country you want, right?
No. So now that you have the video track, what you can do is extract the audio, and you can do that with one click.
Oh yeah,
VLC media. So
yes.
You would just put that onto a hosting site. Now you do get free offers from a hosting site, but your audio would expire after, I think, 60, 90 days, for instance, Buzzsprout. But if you are willing to pay a monthly fee, whether that's $10 or $12, I think, your audio would be evergreen.
Or if you have Kajabi, you can have
you can host your own. But the thing is, if you host your podcast on your website, audio tracks take up extremely a lot of space. So something you could do is put it in a storage and share that URL to your website. That way you're not taking all your website storage, and if someone goes onto your website, it slows down and everything is not a really great customer experience. So you could either do it from your website on a storage thing, or you could use a hosting platform like Buzzsprout, Libsyn, Acast, and they could share it to all those.
Can you say it again? Buzzsprout. Can you say
Buzzsprout, Acast, Libsyn, Podbean, those are all different directories.
What is your favorite?
Host Buzzsprout. I like Buzzsprout. Okay. It's very simple and easy to use.
Okay, and then goes to?
And they send it to, for instance, Apple, Spotify, Pandora. So it's basically they sending your podcast to all of those platforms, which you choose. You can click which ones you like and which ones you don't like. And you're not paying separately for that. You're just paying for your host.
But on Apple, sorry, it's just because I try to do that, and since I'm on a call with you, I understand in Apple, if you want to do all the world, you cannot do it. You need to pay it for each country, then you want a license.
Oh, I don't know. I'll look into that because I haven't heard of that before.
Yeah, I think so. That is the reason. But then from all these places, when you do a call to action, you send them to where?
You could send them to either. For instance, like you mentioned, we've got the video, which we'll come back to now. You see which is better, because your host gives you analytics and they show you where your listeners are from. So if you just thinking of the US, a lot of people use Apple, but the younger generations, younger than us, they use Spotify. So if that's your target market, you can say tune on to Spotify or any of the directories that you feel most comfortable
or
with.
We can create like a little website with all the options and just guide them to there, and then they decide where they want to listen to. Like you have on Instagram. Okay, sounds good. You solve a problem for me. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And like you said with the video, I highly recommend that all podcasters use video, because those you could make audiograms or videograms, and you can post that onto social media. That could be a 30-second, a 1 minute, just somewhere where maybe you and the host, you laugh together, or you say something funny, or maybe you say something really eye-catching. And it's like, hey, I want to listen more to that. And that would make them either go to one of the platforms, whether that's YouTube, Apple, any of those. And that's where you intrigue them.
I'm super excited. I have all this vision. Tell me, what is I think I know, but you get for sure thousands of people asking you, what is the best material, best gear I should buy for my podcast? Right?
Yeah, I love that.
It's true, right? And I'm saying this because I have been there. So I used to be that geek, then like buy the best camera and buy the best microphone. Needs to be the best, but you always buy the best and then you never really use it. Perfection, I feel like this phrase, perfection is fear in another outfit.
Oh, definitely. I love it. I do love it. So I would say if you're just starting out and you're not sure if you're going to give it 100%, start off with this guy.
Yeah.
But make sure you keep if it has you using the microphone, keep it up here. So you're not rubbing it against the shirt and you don't have all that other noise, because expensive equipment is not going to make your podcast amazing.
No.
If you don't know how to use it.
What makes a podcast amazing?
It's the content that you're providing.
And the
then
energy
being
as
able
well.
to, like I said, content, community, and commitment. If you're not committed to your podcast, whether that's once a week, or every second week that you post, and you're not delivering that amazing content for your ideal audience, those three together is what's going to make your podcast stand out above others. Okay,
so let's imagine then I have all the time in the world, because I believe I can create it. How often should I do a podcast? If I could mix me alone and coach and guests, like the perfection should be a combination, should be every day. That is the perfection, or that is too much if you mix up and let's imagine that I'm delivering high class content. Okay. It's fun. It's inspirational. I don't know. You tell me, you are the teacher.
So I would say no matter if you're delivering amazing content, it's really up to what your capacity is that will keep you from avoiding burnout. Because you don't want to be posting 5 days a week and then in 2 weeks you're so burnt out and you have this content block. You can't think of any more information because you just gave so much at once. That's why I suggest doing, for instance, season breaks. And
nice.
That way you already have all this content, you have this evergreen videos and all those things that you can repurpose. And that way you can take, doesn't matter if it's a week, 2 months, you can still be delivering that content on your social media platforms to keep the momentum going. But then you come back energized and you come back again. So there isn't a specific number of amazing, like five times a week. I have this one client, she just did a relaunch. She hasn't podcasted in 2 years. So her average downloads were about 200 per episode. Now she started up again. And yeah, that's pretty good. She started up again and she only posts every second week 1 episode. And after the relaunch, her downloads skyrocketed up to 1,600 per episode in just this relaunch.
And let me guess, you have your finger on that, right?
Yes, I did assist.
Okay. No, why we should not call, we say in Portuguese a very stupid thing, why we should not call the cows by the name, like it's a very stupid thing. But yeah,
pretty much you need to be.
I feel then is your magic there, right?
Well, it is more of a mindset game, because if you like, okay, I'm going to do a relaunch, but you post your episode, but you're not speaking about it. You're not proud about your episode, the interviews that you had, that excitement you need to deliver again when you tell your audience about it and you warm them up and you intrigue them about this amazing relaunch, even if it's your season 2 and it's just going to be like 5 episodes over the next 4 weeks and you take another break, that's fine. But you want to be delivering that amazing content along with that.
A season should have how many, like imagine that we do for seasons should have like a normal series, like 12 episodes. Or
yeah, it really depends up to you, what you feel is best for you. I would say about 8 to 12. If your episodes are about 40 minutes, an hour long, I'd say about 8 to 12. But really plan it ahead of time. So this is what I usually suggest. Think of your main topic. For instance, I don't know. Female coaching, that's your main topic. So subdivide that into 3 subtopics. And those 3 subtopics, they're kind of still a bit broad, but they're a little bit more niche down of what female coaching is. And that, I would say, that's your solo episodes. Then you can subdivide each of those into 2 more categories, and those are based for your interviews. So that way you can keep your podcast aligned with your guests. So your subtopic is going to be for your guest, and you're going to try keep them on that subtopic as well as you can, because guests always we tend to go off the topic a bit and don't really stay as perfect as you want.
Yesterday, now we are very much on the topic. Yesterday I had this beautiful podcast. Then I was, like I said to you some minutes ago, I was talking about burnout after COVID and how COVID, not just the people who did get sick, but the people, how that affect us as a person, how many shifts, like my life turned 180. No, I don't want to say 360 because that is what people say normally and you go again to the same place.
Not normal.
So 180 degrees but we did not talk about coaching, but it was beautiful. Like we talked about women and women empowerment and women's putting themselves first before the family and the kids and whatever. And it was off topic. Was beautiful? Yes, but it was totally off topic.
Exactly. So that's why those subtopics work so well for guests. And then you, as the host, you can go into those 3 subtopics of female coaching. And you can go and make your seasons based off that outline. So if that outline is 9 or 12 topics, that's your season. Then okay, I'm set for this season. Next season, you know how to work your framework from there. And that really simplifies the whole guest outreach and pitching, because you know what you want from your guest, because it's your podcast after all. You do have the power. You're not just going to get anyone on your show who you think is just because they have 10,000 followers or 100,000, they spoke on 20 different podcasts. No, you need to align it with your topics and how you're going to benefit your audience.
Super interesting. How should the person, I don't have issues with that, but how should someone choose a name for a podcast?
I would say keep it short. So no more, like between 3 to 5 words, because your thumbnail is just like so tiny on those directories.
Yeah.
So you don't want to overcrowd it so you can't see that thumbnail. That's the main reason. But also your name needs to pretty much explain what your show is about without you going like, this is my podcast and it's about this. And then they still look at you like, what? It has to be like an elevator pitch. Like, for instance, mine. Empowering female entrepreneurs to embrace their authentic voice. That's not the name, but that's pretty much what the show is about. So
what is the name?
Speak Her Mind.
Oh, wow.
So it's females speaking their minds.
Yes, is what we are doing here.
Yes, exactly. So that example is pretty much clear. You don't want it to be, for instance, what do I have? A keyboard. The name of your podcast is Keyboard. No one knows what that's about unless you speak about keyboards, right? But if you're speaking about flowers in the garden, that doesn't connect. So think of a name that's catchy, that's short, and really explains your show without you having to like stand up for your podcast. No, it's actually about this or that.
I see. You must have very happy clients, right?
I try.
No, I know you do. I know you do because I found myself being an intelligent entrepreneur who's always looking to learn more. And I feel that even if I run different podcasts and I had people doing that for me and I did it by myself and etc., I have so much to learn and so much to do. And I can feel then you know your thing. So you must have very, very happy customers, very happy clients. How it describe to me, who is your perfect client? Or I don't want to call avatar, I want to say perfect client. Who is your perfect women? Like, tell me.
So yes, I definitely work mostly with female entrepreneurs, those who are in the coaching business, who are teaching, but also those who want to learn and make an impact. So if, for instance, I give you advice on your podcast, ideally, I would love for you to take that advice, not necessarily imply it, but it really be open to ways to improve your podcast, not just be stuck to this is how it was done 2 years ago, because we know the world has changed so much.
You need to be flexible.
Yes.
The person who wins the argument is the most flexible one.
Exactly. So really be flexible, be open, and preferably a female entrepreneur in the online business coaching world.
Perfect. Okay, where people can find you, like, and what offers do you have now in your hands that they can?
So I still do podcast production, and I am working on
Explain what is a podcast production. What is included?
So podcast production is everything from starting your podcast. So I take all the tech out of it. We do the editing, the artwork, and the show notes, for instance, to build your podcast and create that visibility. So you've got your SEO that we insert throughout the podcast production. And then, like I mentioned, season relaunches as well. And then just maintenance of your podcast. So once you've launched and you have your season relaunch, really just doing the editing and repurposing of the show. So that's one half. And the other half that I'm working on the coaching side is my app, which is called Pod Coach. So we are in the development stage, and it's really exciting because this is all about how to really promote yourself as a podcaster and grow it and create that podcast funnel so that you can generate that income from your podcast, ideally.
It's so funny because we have the same market.
Yeah.
we teach slightly different things. I work as well a lot about the launching, about making more money, about I have this extra pancake that I'm releasing now, like it's a 21 days challenge about cash. Yeah, and it's very interesting because I found it's funny when I really want to do that one. It's not like fully aligned with what I'm doing, but what I found was coaching give me wings to fly, but I did need to change my money beliefs. Then I struggle so much. It's not then I became a millionaire. It's just then, even when I don't have the abundance on my hands, I know it's coming. And sometimes, like, you should be brave enough to go a little bit out of your niche, because what I want for our crowds, our tribe, is for many women have the money beliefs not right. And I want to bring the mindset together with the social media. I teach digital influence, and I really see, and I really want you to record a masterclass for my people. And like, maybe you can even coach them. We can talk about that in a second. But it found super interesting. And if you had, I always like to do this, if you have a message for yourself 10 years ago, what did you told?
Oh, definitely got to do with what you teach is really embracing your authentic self. Because for me, even just 2 years ago, if I jumped onto a call on the computer, I would just like freeze. It was
Me
like
too,
the worst thing ever.
Me too. I used to be so sick of my stomach when I had to do sales call. Then I remember the first, so I joined Passion at 12 February 2021, and at 6 March, I released my first pancake, so really short. And I made the first sale to a Passion fighter, and she did want to buy it, but I could not even, put my words. Then I watched a video from Grant Cardona's course of sales, and I realized like the main question is, are you good in what you do? If you believe, then you are. You are not selling anything. You are offering the transformation. Like, is the transformation, if your transformation can be videos of 1.5 minutes, but no fluff, just go directly to, and your course is, I don't know, 1 hour in total, but you take me there, I can pay you whatever price that is, because it's cash. You went to the journey of learning, and that cost you money, hours, time, sleep, whatever. And so I became, wow, no, I know I'm good on this. This is just an opportunity. And this is the message that I give with people say, oh, I have a gift, but I don't want to go on social media. Friends, if you have a gift and you don't cross the fears and the bad or the beliefs then you have about social media, you are not doing what the God or universe or goddess or whatever, a higher self told you to do. And you have people, it's your obligation. Now, what I do is I make that obligation fun. And yes, using social media can be fun and not anxious and a lot of things. So I love the perspective of the podcast. I start my podcast with that idea, but how can people monetize? And when I say monetize, I'm doing with my fingers like, because you have different ways of monetize. How can you monetize is the last question. Like, explain the ones that are automatic and cash on your hand, and the ones who are a little bit different.
So I would say start out with the basic monetization methods there are, for instance, affiliate marketing. So if you utilize any online shopping thing, for instance, Amazon is a big one in the States. You can create an affiliate account, and that's absolutely free. So during your show, maybe you say like this microphone, for instance, I really enjoy it because it gives that clear clarity sound. So you can just pop the link in below. With affiliate marketing, the person doesn't necessarily have to buy that microphone. It's just attracting your audience to that platform. So if they go and do their
I did not know that. I did think that.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. So if they go do their grocery shopping within that 24-hour cap, you'll get commission from that shopping, even though they didn't buy the microphone. So you're still benefiting from just sending them to the platform. That's what affiliate marketing really presents. And then obviously you can look at sponsorships. That one is pretty more of a cash in hand. So you can look at people that podcast within the similar niche, see who's sponsoring them. And for instance, Buzzsprout. So Buzzsprout is the hosting platform that I spoke about earlier. I see Buzzsprout is sponsoring other people who are speaking about digital marketing, or for instance, just podcasting. I can reach out to them, and then you can create a package, a retainer. So if you speak about their product or service in the beginning or the end of your show, it's usually a smaller retainer, for instance, $25 or $50. But if you speak about it in the middle of your show, that could go up to $150, $200, just because you're breaking up the flow of your show to speak about the product. That way you can you can create like a package of where you're speaking about them, you'll speak about them on 5 of your episodes, and you already have, if it's in the middle, $500 right there that you're going to speak about. And you can pre-record that as well, and then just edit it into your show. So that's two ways of doing it through Thingy. And then the one I recommend the most is the podcast funnel, is where you're educating your audience, you're attracting the right audience to come to your show, and they eventually buy your product or service through the funnel. So it's like setting it up in that matter of a way.
Guys, amazing. I want you to tell your websites how they can reach out to you. All of that is really important.
Okay, so I'm mostly on Instagram, and I share quite a bit of podcasting tips and tricks there as well. I am repurposing to multiple platforms, for instance, YouTube and Facebook, all of those. So yeah, Instagram at Her Voice Hub, as it says. I mostly work with females.
Yeah, we work with females. High five to that. Yeah. Female power.
Yeah, so that's where I can be reached. Her Voice Hub on Instagram.
I love the name. I love the
Thank
name.
you.
Thank you so much. Like I said to you, we are going to say bye to our people,
yes.
people who are listening to us.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening or watching or whatever. We had a lot of fun. Please reach out to this beautiful soul, because she have money on her pocket. Honestly, no, not her pocket. What I mean is, say, you can upgrade your business with the knowledge that this beautiful woman have. And we all, I'm obsessed with money beliefs. So I will say we all should love money. So money can love us back. And I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. I'm obsessed and I'm impressed. So now we're going to say bye to our listeners or people who are watching, and I'm going to drill you with some personal questions. Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. My name is Rita. You please subscribe, do that things that makes logical and obvious so you can watch this again and again. Thank you so much. I love you guys. I see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye-bye.